from Rob Hargrove about what it's like to lead the future of snacking. What does this entail in terms of research, food safety, and other global activities? How does Mondelez approach startups, and what does a company with net revenues of over $26 billion look for when creating the future of nutrition?
Hi, it's a pleasure to have Rob Hargrove here with us, Executive Vice President of R&D and Quality at Mondelez. And Rob, it's a great opportunity to ask you a few questions after you could please introduce yourself.
Yeah, so hello, Rob Hargrove. I'm Executive Vice President of Research and Development at Mondelez International, and thrilled to be talking to you today.
So maybe the first question is related to food innovation. It's been on the rise for some years now with trends of healthy nutrition, alternative proteins, less sugar and salt, and others that are gaining momentum. How is that reflected on Mondelez R&D and open innovation strategy?
Yeah, well, it's been an exciting time recently, but we've had an open innovation strategy and approach at Mondelez for many years. But it has undoubtedly significantly increased in recent times. We do many different sorts of open innovation, and technical scouting, tech scouting is important to us. We look at our active searches, and we conduct those searches and look for technologies and partners across Israel. In fact, just one recent example would be, as we've all endured the COVID pandemic, people are looking for alternative packages that make them feel safe. They're antimicrobial, rather, antiviral, and that's an active search that we have, scouting that we have out there. We also have really got involved quite recently in collaborations, and obviously we collaborate quite closely and announced a partnership with the Kitchen Hub some time ago. But we also collaborate with many different entities and local players in Israel, including universities like the Hebrew University, local venture capital firms, and local accelerators. We really want to engage with as many people as we can. And then I'll just give one plug. We also want to interact directly with entrepreneurial partners and potential partners. And if I could ask people to check out our technology searches, which we're very open about, and that's on mdlzcollaboration.com, and you'll see everything that we're looking to solve on that site.
So why is the Israeli innovation ecosystem specifically relevant for you and interesting for Mondelez?
Yeah, I think I've spent a few great visits in Israel, and what we see is a combination of entrepreneurial spirit, pragmatism, a practical approach, people willing to have a conversation about what the technical solution is that we require, and get going with solving it, and that's really exciting for us. I mean, sometimes, dare I say it, big companies can be a little bit slow and a little bit over process driven. And I think in Israel, we find people who really are our polar opposite and can really help us solve our problems very quickly and aggressively.
So other than that, are there specific things you look at a startup that you want to either partner with or invest in terms of the technology or the direction of the company?
Well, I joked a little bit there about what a big company like Mondelez, it can be a little bit slow, but at the same time, we have to interact well together. And so I would ask all potential partners to be patient with us, to insist things of us. So to insist on problem statements that are clear and concise, but also tell us what you can, and more importantly, perhaps what you cannot do, and just be open, clear about that. And, if we can't help each other, then we move on. But if we can, I think it can be a great relationship.
Well, I think in a culture of, yes, we can, it's very difficult for an entrepreneur to identify what the company cannot do. But that's a great advice.
Well, we encourage that openness. Yeah, sorry.
No, I saved 5 minutes for my favorite question, which is, if you were to establish a startup in food tech today, what problems would you be seeking to solve? What type of startup would excite you found?
Yeah, so I've talked a little bit about, we're really clear on the problems that are there to be solved in the world of snacking. Mondelez is the preeminent snack food company in the world, and you will be aware, and your listeners will absolutely be aware of many of the challenges for food out there. Whether it is so just look around you at some of the toughest challenges for your favorite snacks. How do I replace the sweetness, and more importantly, in a dry cookie, the bulk of sugar? How do I do that in a way that still provides great consumer value and great taste for consumers? How do I provide indulgent mouthfeel without high levels of fat? How do I make my favorite snack more natural without pricing it out of the marketplace? Those are some of the challenges. I like them because they're challenges that we all face in our lives every day. Therefore, when we solve them, they will be of great value to people. If you concentrate on those, I would say to the community, you won't go very far wrong in terms of interactions with Mondelez.
So if you were to create your own startup, you would focus on these areas of interest?
Absolutely. I think they're very broad, important, difficult areas that if we solve them, they will really bring great value to our consumers.
And do you see specific startups around these topics coming up from Israel?
We continue to look. I think, as I said, these are the ones that you will find, every every decade or every long period of time. We haven't found perfect answers to any of those questions yet, which is why the job of an R&D leader is always going to be interesting in food. There are partial solutions that are emerging from Israel and other places. I think the real winner will be the company that really determines a food tech solution that enables people to be absolutely indulged by their snack, but do no harm via their snack, and that they'll be able to eat, I wouldn't say as much as they want, but they will be able to eat it free of guilt, and in portions that make sense for them and for their diet. So we haven't seen the total solution yet, but we're still looking, and that's why we're so active in Israel, looking around and seeing who we can partner with to solve these problems.
Right. No, I think you for sure you're very present in the ecosystem in Israel. And can you highlight maybe other ways that your team is assessing and addressing the specific technologies coming from Israel? Do you have specific best practices inside Mondelez to best evaluate these technologies?
Yeah, I'll not get into details of, obviously the solutions need to work with our consumers and need to work with our brands. But, we will be looking at things, I talked about some of the food technology things. We're also looking at crop science. So how can the Israeli food tech ecosystem help us with some of our agricultural challenges? So, for example, we're working with a great startup in Israel at the moment on identifying sensors that we can implant in cocoa trees around the world to essentially give an individualized, customized fertigation and more importantly, irrigation treatment to. And so, you can sense what the water status of a given tree is, and you can apply your water and irrigation in a way that is best for that tree. So, that's a very pragmatic, practical, in the field solution that will help us with fantastic agronomy. As we look at food ingredients, as and when we see those, we would obviously test those through our products and test those with our consumers. But also, we look at processing technologies, and obviously we're working with the ecosystem in Israel on with an investment that we have just made with Tor, which is a company that is working with a unique way of pulling together healthy ingredients into very interesting and I would say sensorially interesting products. That's something that we find that could be of great value. So We're looking at these things in many different ways, and really, depending on the problem to be solved, we will tailor our solution and our evaluation process for that purpose.
Wow, that's very exciting. So I wish you good luck with this new development, and thank you so much for sharing the best practices with us.
Thank you very much.